Finally some rest. Or, on the other hand, I could go for a ride. How about... Let's say you're walking to the store one morning for a loaf of bread and a jug of milk when you realize how you can manipulate space and time to create a time machine. But what you have actually realized is that time travel existed all the time, you just didn't know how to do it. The theory of special relativity tells us that time moves at different speeds depending on where you are in the universe. If it sounds crazy, that's because it is. And if you want to blame someone for it, blame gravity. The theory says that if you travel at the speed of light, anything that's not doing so is aging faster than you. So even if you travel just for a few days, by the time you stop, years and years have gone by at home. So let's say you built a really fast way of traveling and you launch yourself into space. You travel for a few minutes before you hit a planet. That's pretty cool, you say to yourself. But there isn't much to do up here and I'm getting kind of bored, so what I really want to do is go back home and talk to my friends about my new invention. So you travel back only to find out everyone you know is already dead. Damn, if you only remember the theory when you launched off. But wait a moment, don't you know how to time travel? Well, you can travel back the same way because no matter how fast you go, you will end up traveling only further in time. Fun fact, this is already happening in satellites because they are traveling fast enough to escape the gravity of Earth. And at such speeds, their time passes slightly slower than it does on Earth. But if you were on a satellite, time would be relative to you, so the time on Earth would be going faster and you would pass through time normally. Seems crazy? Well, you're the one that believes it. You don't have to if you don't wanna. Sadly, right now our time machine is nowhere as cool as in the movies. And it doesn't even go back in time, which is kinda useless if you're tired of running away from your problems. All your other experiments you have are useless. The best thing you have is this old wormhole making device. This device follows a theory that says 2 points in space could be connected via a fold in space itself. Now, that's absolutely mad. I mean, think about it. By doing that, you have just created a shortcut in space. And while light travels the long way around space, you can just take the back door. And by doing that, you return back to the day that you have created the fold. This way you could travel into the future and come back home at the point in time you have created the first wormhole. Now, here's the problem with time travel. Let's say that 20 years ago you decided to go for a drunk ride, and on your way home you hit someone with your car. I mean, at the time you weren't sure if you hit someone for sure, maybe it was just your drunk mind playing tricks on you. Sadly, you realize what you have done the next day, and now you want to use that knowledge you had gained to create a time machine to stop yourself from making that mistake. Now, here we are 20 years in the future, and you made it. You can finally go back and change your past. You jump into a time machine and find yourself to tell him, you know that stupid decision you're about to make? Well, don't do it. Okay, your younger self replies to you, but what happens now? I mean, you come from a time where you were in that accident, and that made you go back in time in the first place. And now that you prevented that from happening, do you just cease to exist because that timeline is gone now? In that case, all is good and well, and everything that happened in the last 20 years can be ignored. And in case you didn't just cease to exist, you could go back into the future and see how you have changed. But in that case, you come from a different timeline, where you did go for that ride. And if you did travel to the changed future, wouldn't that mean that there are now 2 of you in that timeline? But there could be another catch. Maybe your time machine actually connects to a different universe than the one you have just created. In which case, you have just created a bridge between 2 different universes, and maybe if your calculations were done correctly, everything won't explode and tear up space and time as we know it. Another theory might be that there can't be multiple universes. See, maybe you just traveled back in time and changed the past, but now the universe will try to mend itself by giving you another reason to create the time machine and go back in time. Let's say that in this case, after talking to yourself, you accidentally hit your head, forgetting the conversation you had with yourself, and the same mistake keeps on happening again and again and again. And if you yourself, that travel back in time, is persistent in stopping yourself from making that same mistake, maybe you become the same pedestrian you hit by accident. Phew, time repaired, thinks space and time to itself, and it's happy that it gets to exist for a while longer. Now, you might think this theory is a bit more of a dark-themed story, but looking at the universe around us, it's probably the one that the universe has given us, if it was kind enough to give us time travel to the past in the first place. Honestly, it's a lot better than a standard Hollywood movie where the good characters get defeated only to travel back in time and save themselves. Ugh, happy endings. But that theory does propose another funky theory. One of the theories of quantum mechanics proposes that maybe there is an infinite number of universes that you can travel to. Every single one different from the last. And if you can figure out how to jump into another universe, you will most likely die a horrific way in a universe that's not made to support your type of life. But if you can also decide where you will end up, you might just be able to travel anywhere, at any time, not even being limited to our own universe. If the theory is correct, then we can keep our gloomy time travel system while expanding the horizons we could explore without changing our timeline. So you might ask yourself, will time travel actually ever exist? And to that I say, probably not. At least not in a way that we want to travel back in time to change our past, for instance. The best case scenario, maybe there's going to be a small human safe haven 2 billion years in the future, where the last of all resources will be brought together to try and preserve what's left of humanity by creating a dimensional rift and sending a few to a different universe as a ditch attempt to keep humanity alive. And the machine is turned on, and a few brave humans are sent through dimensions in a spaceship that's made to last for as long and as much as possible. As the darkness of the universe swallows the ship, it deals great damage to the last human bastion, where the last humans slowly pass away, as they wonder if the experiment worked, and if maybe somewhere in a different universe, humanity will be able to start again. Hopefully, there isn't such thing as a dimensional loop as well. Hey, I'd just like to say that this video has been greatly inspired by Exerbius' video on the same topic on YouTube. It's one of his first videos and it's really fun to watch, so I do recommend it if you don't know about him, that you go and check him out. Of course, he does produce much greater content than this other crap. Thank you. Bye bye.